Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Age of Nations commentary. I'm Daniel DanQ, Quick series creator and producer, and with me is...
Joe Snoopy369 Matise. I'm Lookout and Intrepid.
Yes, so... How you doing, Joe?
Doing alright. This is the episode that I don't really talk too much in, so I'll try to give my input on other people, what other people did here. One of my characters isn't actually here during most of the episode.
Yes, we're going to find out what he's been up to in the next episode.
Next episode, which balances out my lack of lines in this episode with a huge number of lines.
That's right, it all averages out.
How did you know?
And so here we are in the opening scene. And we've got kind of a confrontation here between Trigger and Marsh, talking about the events of episode 104. So especially now when we get into the 5th episode of the series, if you haven't watched previous episodes, especially the one right before it, you might be a little lost, in which case that's not our fault.
Yeah, we hope everybody's watching all the episodes here. The thing I love about this 105 is that the characters, the real life people are dressed up with some pretty interesting props in this one.
Stan has been busy.
Did he make it all himself?
I think he put a lot of them together, and with the help of some of the live actors as well. And I think it was mentioned in the last commentary, but the live actor we see there for Trigger, Carl Beatty, has also been helping Stan out with some production assistance, and he was credited in the credits. Oh, great! I sound like Marsh when he talks about people tracking their tracks. That's a great line.
Shut it! Just shut it! This has not been the case for a
And right here we've got Marsh noting that he no longer considers Trigger or Virtue his friend, which was apparently the case when they were younger. That may or may not come up again, but it certainly kind of plays into the bit of animosity between the two, and makes us wonder what happened to cause the friendship to break down.
You just can't stand to admit that my disobeying.
Maybe we can have a flashback episode later on.
You know you're not.
Oh, you never know. Hey, we could get some younger versions of them. Oh, the possibilities.
How do you know that you're unruly?
I can just hear Stan screaming right now. More live actors. No. More people to manage.
Next time you disobey.
I could across the local elementary school or something to get kids.
Yes, there you go.
Awesome.
There you go. That'd be a good idea. Call them first and make arrangements before you do that, of course, Stan.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
How did that come about?
And Trigger's getting a little snippy with Marsh here, not letting Marsh brush him off by being loud and or rude, which Marsh is known for. If there was a prize for that, I think he'd be pretty close to getting it. But unlike Marsh and his arguments, Trigger is pretty calm and rational in this questioning is concerned. Even a little bit of humor thrown in there, which is unusual for Trigger. Marsh can't stand it and pushes it, and Trigger right now is laying down the law. He even swears. I think this causes it does cause Marsh to back off a bit, because Trigger really doesn't swear. That's Marsh's department.
If this Yorick.
I suppose you would like either Intrepid or Lookout to swear a little more there, Joe, so you can expand vocabulary with some Age of Nations specific swearing.
Maybe. I'm not too worried about it. Intrepid and Lookout are both pretty quiet characters, so I don't think either one of them's been really into quite the area of Marsh or whatnot.
If I were you, I'd be.
Yeah, some of these characters do have colorful language here. And we're just looking at the Greeks' second city, which has not been named in the series yet. May or may not be revealed this season, but the capital of Greece is what you think it is, as in real life it is Athens. And that will be specifically mentioned in an upcoming episode of the series very soon. And there's a comment here coming up from Trigger. Don't worry, man, we will eventually find out what those bandits wanted, or assassins, or whatever you as the audience follow, whatever character you believe, and we'll find out who their allies are, eventually.
And I love how he always thinks that everybody else is bandits or barbarians or completely uncivilized. Is very much what I would expect of an actual Greek.
Trigger, you're being short-sighted. While you
Very much a bit of an ignorant attitude on the part of Marsh. What he doesn't understand mustn't be as good as he is, but that's his character, and we love him for it.
So many ways. You are ordering someone
Makes him extremely lovable.
my command without telling me. And now
we can see them working the mines here. We're not quite in the classical age of development, so with the writing here, strictly speaking, in Rise of Nations, that would not be possible. But again, we do bend it here and there as far as the storyline helps us. And there's some real live action footage that Stan took on a vacation of some cattle.
Love the cows. Cows are a great addition here, just especially given the dialogue in the background.
And right about now, Marsh is about to draw a line in the sand. In the previous episode, Virtue got in trouble. I'll leave it at that. See, now people have a reason to watch previous episodes, because we're not just going to give it away in the commentary here. Come on, do your homework. Draws a line in the sand, and Trigger is now in charge, at least in theory. But Marsh seems to command even Trigger's men, and that's the key here. This isn't just men in Marsh's division, fellow slingers. These are part of Trigger's troops, specifically. And so we're getting a bit of a reality check here, and this is going to set up who knows what in the future. As Gordon has said from the output, no peeking at future storylines.
The only reason you have ever had any successes was because of my guidance. Support.
And Stan's really been working very hard on the backgrounds that we see. Really has been quite a progression. In earlier episodes, maybe a character or two here had that, but now it's really coming into its own, and we'll see more of that in the next episode. Introducing right here is Daniel Rodriguez as the character of Spice, and another more central character beginning the next episode, as well as a new live actor that we have not seen before, showing us Spice, and Spice giving thanks for all that the Greek army does.
Don't be so modest.
No, I won't.
A little bit of bathroom.
Great voice, I really.
Sorry lot of
Oh, go ahead. Yes, the great voice.
Yeah, I definitely like the voice there, and it's very appropriate for the live actor.
That one's a few logs short of a pile.
Yes, and there was a bit of bathroom humor there, but every once in a while, you know, even if it's a cheap joke, it's a joke, because this can get pretty serious here. Some of these storylines.
Did he try to shake someone's hand and get more than he bargained for?
And another thing that Stan's working on incorporating, like you can see where people are talking and the Virtue live actor walking on, and also just the direction that people are looking. So it kind of looks like, you know, flip between one actor to another and they're actually conversing back and forth a little more so than ever. All these neat little touches that just add something extra. Oh, and here we are in a very important scene. Dark Cloud, again, one of the executive producers, voicing Tycoon. Very well. Now, Joe, we're about to hear you as Zachary.
Yeah, that was my third character here.
Yes, your third character. I think you're even besting me. I mean, no, I'm not counting the pilot. I voiced some bit characters here and there with like one or two lines, but I mean, you've got three primary characters. I'm surprised you haven't demanded a raise.
Now I understand that the two of you
I'll triple your salary right now. How's that?
Excellent. But Zachary's one actually I have a lot of fun with, so.
I've been meaning to ask you, what was your inspiration for that guy's voice? There's just something familiar about
My inspiration for his was the comic book guy in Simpsons. I was actually watching a Simpsons episode when I first read the script that he appears in here, and it sounded like that was the sort of voice to go with for him.
And there's the on-screen announcement of Abraham, who is voiced by Kyle Ixnay-Stadler, who is also the voice of Odysseus, and we will hear Odysseus a little bit later. A comment here is just tying together the events at the beginning of 104 with the unnamed Greek caravan being slaughtered.
You must not despair, Zach.
A very unfortunate incident for Greek and, air quotes here, enemy alike. And here we are in the next scene, a little bit of whining from Trigger here about how fast Lookout can travel. And again, that's related back specifically to Rise of Nations. If you have a look at some in-game details on your favorite Rise of Nations website, Polton, or in the or in the strategy guide, for example, you'll see that he can move faster. So again, all these little nuances.
Of course, I am.
And we're about to poor Lookout here. Go
ahead.
They always treat Lookout so poorly, but at least here we get to see him actually do something better than
over
that.
Here.
Yes, he's not just comic relief.
Channels, here. Look right down here.
But Lookout has a very good attitude. Very kind of easygoing attitude. I think that's going to play well for him in the future.
Sure is.
Well, would you look at that? Their hooves lead north. That's all I need.
Having a little bit more of a discussion here, and Marsh wants to be off and running. He hears something that Lookout says that sounds exactly like he wants to hear, and without hearing the context, without hearing the end of it, he's off and running. He wants to do his own thing, seemingly forgetting the conversation that he and Trigger had earlier on, or perhaps he's purposely ignoring. Marsh isn't stupid, but he is a bit of pain in the backside. And now we see Marsh calling in the guards we saw earlier. Yes, they're back again, and he's now pressing the advantage that he said he would. Man, that didn't take long.
3 words for you, CIC. It's run out. Guards!
There they are. And once again, the choice of having these guards not being from Marsh's division, but actually from Trigger's, is again just to accentuate the surprise when Trigger was named First General as opposed to Marsh by the Council in the last episode, catching everybody off guard. And again, despite what the Council says in practical terms here, if Marsh doesn't agree with what Trigger is doing, then Trigger is overruled in the real world. And one of the guards' voices that you just heard there for a couple of lines, that was me, using the voice that I used for Odysseus in the pilot. There's a little bit of trivia for you.
Where I'm headed. It'll take a little longer to get there, but well worth it. Follow me.
Kyle does a much better job of Odysseus now.
Just tell me one thing.
Kyle has a much more deep, not deep down, but like more broad voice that sounds more like a authority figure, I think.
Yes, if I recall correctly, when I was doing Odysseus in the pilot, I was just holding my nose, so it doesn't sound the greatest. There are only so many ways I can modify my voice. And no, in case you're wondering, folks, I do not do the voice of Marsh otherwise in my life. That would just be cruel and unusual punishment for everybody around me.
And you knew it.
And you know, I'm particularly fond of the music that we have right here. Of course, I put the soundtrack together, so I guess that would be probably why I'm enjoying it.
Allow me to approach my side without your company.
Oh, it's a pretty good soundtrack.
Why, thank you.
Those footprints
Why, thank
could
you.
be left over from Lookout.
Yes, and whoever's that wanting to get a hold of you there, Joe, you tell them, hey, I'm reporting a commentary, man. See, folks, here, this is a prime way to show the audience that these are not scripted. These commentaries are not scripted. The episodes are, but this is real life.
That does
Okay? It's not a game.
mean that
Well, something's a game, but this isn't.
didn't start looking
Okay, I've been on my soapbox. I'm putting it away now.
Well, yes,
Not
as a
forever.
matter of fact, that blood
Yeah, we got a couple of
came
characters
out
on their soapboxes here anyhow, so.
As I have said,
Yes, I think I
virtue
bored
doesn't
one of
run
theirs. I'd
anything.
better return it.
He's a mouthpiece, and not a very good one at that.
And the music returns here once again as Marsh takes a verbal shot at Virtue, kind of a low blow. Again, kind of referencing a couple episodes back about how Virtue doesn't really hunt game anymore. Not that you could make the argument, fair argument, that there really isn't a need to anymore like there was, but again, we keep coming back to that. History haunts him once again.
And they're the feast.
That will make you as cowardly
How appropriate
as
that
they
seems to be.
And there's our
You have
new
somebody
voice,
that can
our new,
contribute heavier
not
points.
voice actor, our new
Right,
live
your
actor again.
vocabulary is crude.
Yes,
Your
for
emotion
virtue.
is rawly vibrant.
Yeah.
Untamed. It ignites
Very curious what they made the
passion
headgear out
in
of.
your men. But that
Yes, I'll have
passion
to ask Stan
is built
about
on
that.
fear and driven solely by
And,
greed.
I
Sort
know
of like a rubber pan almost.
This is unwieldly. And therefore
Well, we don't
dangerous.
exactly have a very large budget, but
point,
I think
Morning
it does the
Glory.
effect just well.
Even
But
one
yeah, it's just amazing.
violent
Any
Yeah.
household
and
item you have
yourself
around, a little bit of creativity,
Our
look what we can
neighbors
do.
must regret their actions.
and too much time,
Just like-
perhaps.
They'd better. We kicked their ass.
Just like
just
what
as I
George
said
Lucas
we
did for
would.
Star Wars, right? With the lamppost heads as Millennium Falcon and whatnot.
We
Mm-hmm.
are not talking about
All right, thank you, Joe. That's going to help our series
Or even
immensely. Age of
countries.
Nations has now been compared to Star Wars. We are the big time, man. We are going all the way.
They started
Something.
this.
Oh, and what? You will end it? That
Oh
sounds
my.
terrible.
And I know some people may be wondering, for example, certain characters on the screen, why they seem to be wandering in certain places, or we have certain caravans walk onto the screen and off. You know, a lot of these extras you see within the game, they have a mind of their own. I guess that's what happens when you don't pay them very well.
Mighty woods to the west.
We're working on that.
To the east, and our own junior settlement to the south. Isn't that what a trap?
We really are. See, there's the...
Yes,
just to show me
General.
off again. Look at
There
that.
you have it, straight from the freak's friend's mouth.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's...
okay.
Maybe that's Spice spying on what's going on.
Planet Ox.
Who knows?
He's gonna turn out to be a spy for the who knows who.
Who knows who? This speeches of virtues that's happening right now will
you
become
gonna try and
important
stop
and
him?
looked back on much later for certain reasons. That's all I'll say. Perhaps I've said too much, but hey, you folks have taken the time to download and listen to this commentary this far. Presumably, you better not have fast-forwarded to this point. I'll be very disappointed.
We would most certainly be engulfed in a civil war. That can never happen. If it ever does, all that we have worked for will be forsaken.
And off they go again on another adventure.
Don't stop on my account, Virtue.
And a bit more discussion of
you.
what we're going to
Since
do,
when?
where we've been, where we're going.
Did I miss a minute?
And I think it bears
What's a memo?
mentioning again
Sure,
that
favor of torturing that
that frickin'
memo?
Spice has got some nerve. There we go, that's better. I was getting tired of looking at
That's
Spice.
the goat.
There we go, that's better.
Called into question who was really responsible.
Sounds
And I realize that there is a lot of dialogue in these episodes, and this is our longest episode yet, almost at 30 minutes. But recognize that, of course, what is written on paper in terms of timeline doesn't necessarily mean that one page of a script is 1 minute. That can depend whether you've got a lot of dialogue or a lot of direction. We are working on the 15 to 20 minute target here, folks, but just consider it about an extra 7.5 minutes of bonus material. That's just what it is. We love our audience so much, we care, and we give too much. I'll be okay in a minute.
But I think if I remember right, was this the episode where I was a little bit sick right beforehand, so my voices were a little
Did
bit
they
off?
get angry?
Yes.
Was that 104?
Food farewell?
I think it was this one.
I
I think
think
I
it was
just gone on.
Yeah.
I just gone on my ski vacation, and every time I fly, I always get a little bit of a head cold afterwards.
They may yet
Ah.
surprise you. To be
Yeah, I know what it's like, and then
almost
your voice is
without
affected, and you get
I have had
congested
enough
or
surprises to wonder.
start to lose some of your voice, and some of the characters you have to project a little more, but you know, we just reflect that.
Yeah.
That's real life. The characters weren't feeling that well. And
Apparently, my cat likes this part of the episode.
oh yes,
She's sitting over here meowing. She's sitting over here meowing and watching it.
oh. So is that meowing? Is that good or bad feedback generally?
Good, I think. I don't know. She's a talkative one, though. She talks a lot.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Maybe she'll send me an email later. Let me know. Now this year, the Stan is controlling both civilizations. Often, of course, in certain machinimas, if you have two different sides, say in a war, you've got more than one person controlling the same civilization. But that's not the case here. I know I put the soundtrack together, and I'm kind of impartial. Okay, I'm really impartial, but I really think that the music helps. Really starting with the last episode and into this one, having sounds from the Rise of Nations environment is just something at this point that's not going to it's not going to materialize at this point, perhaps for the future. And that line right there that we just saw with the live actor of Marsh with hands in the air about "Burn, baby, burn." Marsh is incensed. I really enjoyed doing that line, perhaps too much. I don't know what that says. And again, I was in character. What can I say?
Yeah, you just lose yourself in the character there.
Especially in these really emotional moments, when you know that this means a lot. And it's worth mentioning, in those last few seconds of that scene, we are seeing Tycoon being rescued, specifically by Trigger and his men. And we're going to find out, of course it was mentioned earlier that Tycoon was missing, and whether he's deserted or not. And again, we hear about Marsh not particularly liking Achilles, which is interesting, seeing as how I voiced both of those characters. So I'm looking forward to having an argument with myself.
Then Trigger and his division broke off the engagement.
A legitimate argument with myself. I'm not talking about, in the morning or in the car on the way to work. I mean in the series. It's not quite as crazy that way.
Given that my two original characters spent a lot of time together for the first several episodes, to look at it and Intrepid, it was always interesting having conversations with myself back and forth while I was recording the episodes.
And so now you've developed a complex, I'm sure.
We seem to be overlooking
Have developed, already had developed. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Driving the foreigners out. Those who made
and
it
we
out
have
of
Stan back here as Heracles,
brethren,
voicing him once again. So Stan had filmed this
surely
episode
brought about
and
peace offering,
voiced the
most
lead
favorable
councilman.
to us,
But then again, Stan likes his character being in the lead of the council. That's where all the power is.
But it was men from their division that were assigned
Excellent.
to city demolition.
Is
They abandoned
our
their
caravan walking around behind again?
disgraceful.
And yes, see, Spice is really nosy little. Anyway. Oh my. Some people might find the council sessions a little dry, or they might think, oh, there's no action, so there's nothing interesting happen. You can learn a lot by listening to the councilmen about what they're thinking, about what's been going on, and I can really bring out the best. Oh boy,
At least with an enemy
the best
like
and
virtue,
worst.
I know where I stand.
There was a little potential slip. I'm really tempted to edit that out. The best of Marsh, Trigger, and Virtue, and the way that they talk, or the way that they defend themselves, almost, is probably not the way that they would interact if it was just the three. So again, depending upon who they're talking to, people do modify their behavior, even characters in Age of Nations.
I do seem to be able to hold the loyalty of my men.
And there's a line right here, a game of scenarios by Odysseus, kind of vague. It's kind of a reference to Rise of Nations itself. It's perhaps pathetic, as Heracles would say, but that's okay.
Clearly it is Marsh who is most at fault. By inciting hoplite and slingers alike to violent action,
Here's where Marsh gets in trouble a little bit.
Assured to prolong
Yeah, Marsh
war
has
with his
a tendency to do that.
There is no assurance that we will be victorious.
And the live actor for Odysseus is very animated, which just makes his character all the more enjoyable. He does like to go off on his rants. If Odysseus would speak a little more concisely, I think everybody else around him would probably pay more attention.
You could probably use one right about now, Marshmallow. Trigger is the
And
general
Virtue
command.
is very much about
You
following
disobeyed
orders.
him.
Here giving
As
Marsh
I
a
recall,
criticism.
it was by disciplining
And
orders last time that saved
we've got
you
one of my
and the rest
favorite
you usual excuses
Odysseus
for
lines
soldiers
to
from the
date
murderous hands of those
about
assassins.
Marsh talking
If
about
they
the
were
murderous hands of
indeed
these assassins, and
then
Odysseus,
by their
well,
very
by their
nature,
very
would
nature
their
of being
hands
assassins,
not
would their
be
hands not be murderous?
Stolati.
I mean,
Two wrongs don't make a
yes,
right.
just stating the obvious, but that's what
Sounds
Marsh
like keeping you and
does.
your kind from being slaughtered like frightened cattle was a mistake.
So he doesn't like it to be pointed
Is that what
out
you
that it
want me to
seems a little
say?
strange.
You want me to say that I was wrong?
He tells Audie
What a
to
sorry
stow it.
lot
That's
of
not very
council folk
respectful.
are.
Marsh, how can you
For a
defend your
key
actions
politician.
when you criticize others who do the exact same thing?
Yeah.
And right
I mean,
here,
it's
Jason,
obviously
voiced by Dark Cloud,
self-contradictory, you see.
chooses
You
now
made a good
to
decision when
argue.
you refused to
Some
follow
might
orders,
say show
but
some
so did
show some
Trigger when he
backbone.
and his men refused to raise the city.
But he's playing
yet
his cards.
You now disagree with
but
him.
the question is
Why
this
are
timing?
you
Is this
such
the
a
right time? Is this the
hypocrite?
right place? And criticizing Marsh.
Would you like the good news or
And here's
the
Abraham
bad
once again,
news
and
first,
we are
Your
about to
Worship?
hear Leader, but we do not see
Second city
Leader.
was
And yes, that's the
captured.
character's name, Leader.
Then burned to the ground.
Leader. I say it a few more times, and it'll
Smell
sink
of
in.
smoke clings to
Introducing
my clothes.
Kenneth Soperoni Lee
Irritates my
as
nose
Leader.
and
Just an excellent
bitter
reading of this
reminder.
character. Leader is so calm and collected.
What is the good then?
Abraham is very
We
much
managed to
about
save
being
most
calm
of our people
and collected. He
working
likes to say
there.
it, but he doesn't do it as
You
well
speak of our
in
civilians?
practice.
Yes.
And then again,
but
there are some more
only our
animals.
civilians
Aw.
survived.
They look so relaxed.
Military suffered, let's say,
And unfortunately, Abraham is having to give Leader the bad news about what just happened, what Marsh did.
How can a
But we
route
find out that what
slightly
Marsh ended up
disappointing?
doing, yeah, slightly.
Your Worship,
Find out it's not all bad for
Slightly.
these guys.
only
though.
jumping to flavor
It's not all bad for these guys.
Good.
We will overlook the
And
offense this
we also there's Zachary right there. Hey, you're back, Joe. Look at that. And Zach reports the excellent news
No,
about
Your
a
Worship,
certain somebody's
Zach
memory being
seems
wiped.
to forget
Who could
his
Zach be referring
place.
to?
This is not the
I
open.
don't know. Could
Zachary
be
has
anybody.
offended someone. Speak
Could be one of these animals. How do I know?
Worship, we
Um,
successfully
And the
extracted
others being
information
held
about
comment will be
the
explained in the
prisoner.
next episode.
It is with great delight
I'll just
that
leave
I
it at that.
also
Something to
report
look forward
that
to.
with the aid of Ulan weeds and
I love that.
Pheno mushrooms,
Ulan weeds and
his
Pheno
memory
mushrooms.
has been wiped.
Oh yes, you
He
love the names. I'd love to take credit for
Remembers
that, but that
nothing.
was either Gordon or Dark Cloud.
Those that were being held
I think
by
they came up
Bring
with
it
that.
before
That wasn't
the
me.
next forum, Zachary. You know very well it is only
Love
a
those
few
names,
days
and I'm sure
away.
we'll hear about them again.
Part of that
They might become
intelligence we gain
a controlled
has
substance or
already
something
paid
later
off.
on
That
in the future.
Get one of the characters addicted to it.
did us no end of favors
There you go.
by
Maybe
destroying
perhaps the person who was
anything
captured, maybe he
and
likes it.
everything
Doesn't
that
even know it
could
though.
have revealed our survival.
And the very ominous
Is
music here
consistent with his
about
profile.
referencing about coming over
When
to a new
will we
age,
strike back,
about some new
Your
research
Worship?
taking place. As in Rise of Nations in the different ages and going from the ancients to classic time.
An army is being trained, and our librarians are near not
Oh, we gotta have a shot of
We
the
have
goats
some
again.
sheep
and
in
their
them.
research.
Yeah. Or goats, right?
Both of these goals are
Gotta
met.
have a shot of
I
them
have a
again.
strong feeling.
They are the stars of the
We
show.
have
Everybody
reformed
knows that.
and
And look at
repay
that.
our
Did you see
overeager
that?
neighbors in kind.
Obviously, it wasn't Spice, but another caravan. Even these guys have the same problem. You just come onto this. Okay, I'm not gonna go there again. And there are end credits for all our voice actors. Joe, thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you, Dan, and I look forward to doing this again someday.
Absolutely. Enjoy the series, folks.